break the mirror. 7 years bad luck.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start teaching while folks are getting filling off because we don't have a whole lot of time. And I just realized the Base 8 printer outsmarted me. I told it to print 12 copies of the source sheet stapled, and it stapled all 12 copies together. So, if someone can, who's done taking their filling off, could pass these around. And I have, I think, 2 copies here stapled together. This is, there you go. So I thought I would teach on a topic that I think I touched on last year. But last year, I think only about 3 of you were here for Mincha Mariv on Tisha B'Av, and I don't say that to cast aspersions. I say that to highlight just how different a moment we're in than we were in this time last year. I think last year we took a survey to see if anyone was interested in coming to shul for Eicha reading on Tisha B'Av, and we didn't have a minyan's worth of people who wanted to hear Eicha on Tisha B'Av with where we were in the pandemic. And we're in a very different place. And I didn't mention that earlier on Tisha B'Av because it wasn't really in the spirit of Tisha B'Av to mention that. But now that we are in the final moments, we're Bein HaShemashot already between Tisha B'Av and after Tisha B'Av, I think it's worth highlighting this distance we've traveled in the last 12 months. Tisha B'Av, I think this sort of hesitance to share, to note something positive like that as the day goes on, we stop our morning customs a little bit. We start sitting in chairs, we put on tefillin, we start greeting one another. I don't feel quite as weird about sharing good news, good positive observations. Has to do with there's this duality of the nature of Tisha B'Av. And it's hinted at in this this source from the Shulchan Aruch, the first source on the page. Would someone like to read the Shulchan Aruch here?
People don't say Tachnun on Tisha B'Av, and they don't fall on their faces because they call it festival.
Okay, so there's a lot of things we don't do on Tisha B'Av because it's a sad day. But one of the things we don't do on Tisha B'Av is say Tachanun. And Tachanun is something we do say on sad days. We say it on other fast days. We even add things to Tachanun. We add Avinu Malkeinu. We beef up our Tachanun on other fast days. But on Tisha B'Av, we don't say it at all because Tisha B'Av is called a moed. It's referred to by the term moed, which means a festival in Tanakh. So where do we get this idea that Tisha B'Av is a festival? And I think it all comes down to this idea that is sort of we get at in this midrash from Eicha Rabbah that I want to look at. And I think we learned a very abbreviated version of this midrash last year, but I brought more of the midrash because it's just a weird and just fascinating midrash. But yeah, David, you had a comment?
Is a festival unambiguously good?
So other than Tisha B'Av, the other things that are called moeds are Shabbat. I think Rosh Chodesh is called a moed, but I'm not entirely sure. And then the 3 pilgrimage festivals, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, those are the moadim. So these are happy days. These are festive days. Unambiguously good, I don't know, but they're happy days. And maybe we're saying, well, the moed part, you could say maybe the moedness of the days isn't what makes them happy. And maybe Tisha B'Av shares something with them that's not their happiness, but nonetheless, even whatever that thing is, it is enough to say we don't say Tachnun on Tisha B'Av.
You could say Yom Kippur is solemn. It's not all
all happy.
Right, and Rosh Hashanah even more than Yom Kippur. I think we think of Yom Kippur as more solemn because we're fasting, but the truth is, Rosh Hashanah is a scarier day than Yom Kippur because Rosh Hashanah is the day you're standing in court. Yom Kippur is the day you stand in front of the parole board. It's solemn, but it's Yom Kippur is the day we get our sentence commuted. So it's a happy day, kind of intrinsically. Which is why I sometimes feel like we should be dancing in shul on Yom Kippur. But I've been in shuls where they dance on Yom Kippur, and it feels right. But because it's not Tisha B'Av, it is a happy day. So fasting and happiness are not incompatible, but you might think the destruction of the temple and happiness are incompatible. So let's. I want to look at a midrash, and this midrash is all picking up on this one verse in Eicha, chapter 1, verse 16. Al ele ani bochia, for over these I cry. Eini yoreda mayim, my eye drops water. What a way to say I cried. My eye drops water. That's poetry. Kirahak mimeni menachem meshiv nafshi, because far from me is the comforter, or a comforter. Far from me is a comforter, one who restores my soul. Hayu vanai shomimim ki gavar oyev. My children are desolate because the enemy has prevailed. And this is the verse that this particular midrash is going to riff on. And this is from Eicha Rabbah, the classic Aggadic midrash on the book of Lamentations. And where the rabbis are mining these verses for meaning. So who'd like to read this midrash? The midrash is going to start with a verse and then take us on a detour of rabbinic conversation that will bring us back to our verse. Who'd like to start? Who'd like to read? Okay, go ahead, Larry. Either way. I mean, either Hebrew and English or just English, your choice. Let's just do English because we don't have a huge amount of time before we want to dive in.
Prayer that shall relieve my soul is far from me. What is the name of the king Messiah?
Okay, so I just want to pause you. That's a sort of a non sequitur. The comforter that should relieve my soul is far from me. What's the name of the Messiah? This is this midrash is the hook, right? The part on the TV show before the credits. The rabbis are. What do these two things have to do with each other? I have a verse about mourning on Tisha B'Av and lamenting the destruction of the temple. And what's the name of the Messiah?
Well, the Messiah is going to be the comforter that relieves your soul.
Oh, okay. So Larry's already thinking ahead, but we're going to take a minute to get there. Let's keep reading.
Rabbi Abba ben Yochanan said, "His name is the Lord, as it is stated, and this is the name whereby he shall be called. The Lord is our righteousness."
Okay, so this is a shocking statement that maybe make us uncomfortable. That the name of Mashiach would be Hashem, and why would Rabbi Abba bar Kahana say that the name of Messiah is Hashem? He says, we have a verse, the verse from Jeremiah, chapter 23, verse 6. V'zeh shemo asher yikra'o Hashem tzidkenu. This is his name that he shall be called. The Lord is our righteousness. So he's taking this verse that says the name of the Mashiach is about the righteousness of the Lord. He's just chopping it off at the Lord part and saying, well, look, it says his name is the Lord. And if that's still sitting uneasy with us, Rabbi Levi is going to try to make us feel a little better about it.
Levi said, "It is good for a province when its name is identical with that of its king, and then its king identical with that of its God." It's good for a province when its name is identical with that of its king, as it is written, "And the name of the city from that day shall be, the Lord is there."
Okay, so we're doing the same thing with this verse, that the city's name will be the Lord is there, and that means the city's name is God's name.
And the name of its king identical with that of its God, as it is stated, "And this is the name whereby he shall be called, the Lord is our righteousness."
Okay, so he's taking this. So he's saying that there's the Mashiach is somehow the Mashiach and the nation and God are all going to sort of share an identity. This reminds me of the statement. There's a statement in classical Jewish mysticism that Kuchabrichu Oraita B'Yisrael Miskashrim Dobado. I'm butchering the Aramaic, but the Torah, the Holy One, blessed be He, and Israel are all connected to one another. And there was the Balatanya, the first Chabad Rebbe, came along and said, and radically changed that and said, Yisrael, Kuchabrichu Yisrael, the Oraita, Chadhu. The God, Israel, and the Torah are one. They're not connected to each other. They're all one. So this sort of, I feel like he must have, there are echoes of this this idea here, and that's a radical mystical idea that is beyond the scope of this class. But this idea of that we're intimately connected, the nation, its leader, and our God are all intimately connected. So that's Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana and Rabbi Levi's position. Now we're going to get, we're very far from Lamentations 1:16. But let's, who'd like to, Larry, do you want to keep reading Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi?
Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, his name is Semach, sprout. As it is stated, behold a man whose name is Semach, and who shall sprout out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord.
Okay, so Tzemach. This is more right. This is where we talk about the shoot of David sprouting. This is the same word. The Mashiach will be called sprout, and this is a much more straightforward, straight read of Zechariah. That his name will be. There's a man whose name will be Tzemach. Okay, so we have the opinion. We have the opinion that Hashem's name is Tzemach. That the Messiah's name is Tzemach. That the Messiah's name is Hashem. And now we're going to get one more opinion. Rabbi Yehuda, do you want to read? Rabbi Yehuda is going to bring it home for us.
Rabbi Yehuda said the name of Rabbi Abu. His name is Menachem, comforter, as it is said, the comforter is far from you.
Okay, so the Chabadniks are very excited about this line in the Midrash. Right, his name is Menachem, the Mashiach's name. That the comforter is far from me. And so that Rabbi Yehuda is saying that's actually a reference to the Mashiach is very far from me. The Mashiach is very far away. And do you want to wrap up with Rabbi Hanina there?
Hanina said they do not really differ because the numerical value of the names is the same. So the comforter Menachem is identical to sprout.
Okay, so if you write Menachem in Hebrew, it's Mem Nun Het Mem. And the numerical values of Mem is 40, Nun is 50, Chet is 8, and Mem is 40. So you have 138, and Tzemach Tzadi is 90, and then Mem is 40, and Chet is 8. So you have 138. So either way, the Mashiach's name has a numerical value of 138. And now we have someone who's going to say, seemingly support Rabbi Yudin, but I think he's actually what Rabbi Yudin said in the name of Rabbi Aibu, but I think he actually is, this story actually is going to undermine in somewhat this particular Rabbi Yudin's drush. Because remember, Rabbi Yudin darshan that the name of the Mashiach is Menachem, or comforter, from the fact that that in Eicha it says, the comforter is far from me. And now we're going to read this, hear a story that suggests that the Mashiach's name is going to be comforter. Would someone else like to read? David?
The following story supports what Rav Yudan said in the name of Rabbi. It happened that a man was plowing, and one of his oxen was low. The Arab passed by and said to him, "What are you?"
Okay, this question, this is like everybody who doesn't look like, every American who doesn't look like racially unambiguous knows this question. What are you, right? Unfortunately, don't ever ask someone that. What are you? But so this is a sign that this Jew is living in a place where he's the other, right? Someone comes along and looks at him and goes, "What are you?" So we're experiencing galus here. We're experiencing exile.
He said to him, "I am a Jew." He said to him, "Unharness your ox and untie your plow." He said to him, "Why?" He said to him, "Because the temple of the Jews is destroyed, He said to him, "How do you know?" He said to him, "I knew from the lowing of your ox."
Okay, so this random Arab guy somehow heard the Jews' ox mooing and knew that the temple had been destroyed. Just from the way the Jews' ox was lowing. Okay.
While he was conversing with him, the ox lowed again. He said to him, "Harness your ox and tie up your plow. Is the deliverer of the Jews is born?" He said to him, "And what is his name?"
Okay, so he's not even questioning him. Oh, okay. What's his name?
Yeah, it seems like he did it because he tells him to tie it back up, so it means to untie it.
Right, so it seems like he's following this guy, and now he ties it up. And I wonder, is this a straightforward, oh, tell me his name? Like, I now believe everything you say. My ox lowed, you knew something, and oh, again, you know. Or is this a little bit of a sarcastic, you're like, oh, knew, and what's his name? You know so much.
He said to him, "His name is Menachem, comforter. And what is his father? What is his name?" He said to him,
Chizkiah, yeah. Hashem is my strength.
He said to him, "And where do they live?" He said to him, "In Birat Arba, in Bethlehem, in Yehuda."
Okay, so now you might think this is the end of the story. And I think usually when we learn this story, we often end it at where the Arab says, harness up your ox and tie your plow because the deliverer is born, period. And very often we cut the midrashim off halfway through because they have these ambiguous tailing ends. And this one certainly does. So let's keep going.
The man sold his oxen and plow and bought felt garments for children. He journeyed from one city to another, from one province to another, until he reached that place. All the villagers came to buy garments from him. The mother of the child made him a purchase.
Okay, so was this where you thought this was going? Where did you think this was going when he sold his oxen and his plow?
He's going to move maybe to where the Mashiach.
Okay, he's going to where he hears the Mashiach is living, which he sort of does. But when you heard he bought felt garments, what did you think he was going to do? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, man. Where he says, well, he bought felt garments for children. I thought, okay, I'm going to give presents to this new child. This is echoes of stories from other religious traditions here, right? Except I feel like there's almost a little bit of a parody going on here about it's just some but he buys felt garments for children, but he doesn't go give them to him. He's like, it's almost like he saw a business opportunity. There's a baby born over in Bethlehem. I'm going to become a baby clothes vendor. I'm going into the shmata business, and we're gonna make some money. Okay, and so let's keep going.
"Why do you not buy children's felt garments?"
Right, so she doesn't buy. He's not getting any purchases from this woman. So he goes to her. He's like, "No, I know you have a kid. Why aren't you buying clothes for your child from me?"
She answered, "Because a hard fate is in store for my child."
Oh, suddenly the story is not that funny anymore, right? There's a mother who doesn't want to buy soft garments for her baby because she's afraid that the life that's waiting for him is too harsh to be spoiled with felt garments.
He said to her, "Why?" She said to him, "Because close on his coming, the temple was destroyed."
Okay, so my baby was born on the day the temple was destroyed, and you want me to dress him in felt garments? This kid is going to have a hard life.
He said to her, "We trust in the Master of the universe, that as close on his coming it was destroyed, so close on his coming it will be rebuilt."
So this random Jewish farmer from somewhere is saying we have faith that as fast as the temple was destroyed, it's going to be so quickly rebuilt, and as fast on your child's coming as it was destroyed, as so fast on his coming it will be rebuilt. And the woman seemingly doesn't respond because he keeps talking.
He said to her, "Make some of these felt garments for your child, and after some days I will come to your house to collect the money."
Okay, so he's still looking to make a buck on this thing. Here, I know that one day this child is going to be really special and famous and wealthy because he's the Mashiach, and so I want to get in good with the Mashiach. So I'm going to give him some make a loan to you now, and you can pay me back when you have the means. Okay.
Took some and departed. After some days, the man said, I will go and see how the child is getting on. He came to the woman and asked, How is the child? She said to him, Did I not tell you that a hard fate is in store for him? His fortune has dogged him. From the time he left, there have been strong winds and a whirlwind came and carried him off.
Okay, so then now we have this baby's been carried away by a whirlwind. This is like meets a seemingly, in the mother's eyes, this baby's gone. He's met a tragic fate, and just as she predicted, his life was, was miserable and sadly short.
He said to her, Did I not tell you that at his coming it was destroyed, and at his coming it will be rebuilt?
And this guy doesn't lose faith. He says, no. He was carried off in a whirlwind, and someday that whirlwind's going to carry him back, and the temple's going to be rebuilt. And he's waiting for the whirlwind to bring back this Menachem. Now, I don't know what to make of this story. Like, are we supposed to take this? Are we supposed to trust what this passing Arab said? That this kid Menachem ben Chizkiah was really in Beis Lechem, was really the Mashiach? And then if he is, what do we make of the fact that he was carried off in a whirlwind? Or, well, no, it's the Jew now who listened to the Arab. I'm just curious. What do you make of this story about? It's not what I expect from a story about who the Mashiach is. And maybe that's sort of the common theme of all stories about who the Mashiach is. They're all supposed to undermine your expectations about who the Mashiach is.
Mashiach could be born underneath Tisha B'Av, and always potential. And remains to be seen whether the potential Mashiach born on this day of Tisha B'Av will actually be Mashiach. Things can happen between when he's born and whether he's able to.
Yeah. So what do you? Yeah. So maybe there's a lesson here about the everymanness of this particular Mashiach. He's just some kid, but then who seems to die tragically young. So my question is, was the mother right or was the stranger right? The once farmer, now felt peddler. Right.
He was right because the generation wasn't worthy of this Mashiach.
Oh, so you're interpreting, okay, so you're interpreting this whirlwind as the baby was born, there's the potential for salvation, and something's not, and the generation's not ready, so God says, never mind, I'm taking the potential for salvation away, try again next time. Better luck next time.
But the quote also is saying that just as quickly as the temple was destroyed, it'll be rebuilt. And so that would have happened.
Right, and so this guy is saying, no, I still hold that if it's this kid, right, it's going to be rebuilt.
It'll be rebuilt speedily as soon as we're worthy of it.
It'll be rebuilt speedily as soon as we're, so maybe they're both right. The woman was like, I knew my kid had a hard life in store for him, and this guy is right that yes, the temple will be rebuilt speedily.
There's another midrash, they find Mashiach, he's on the edge of, he's outside the city, he says he's going to come today, and he doesn't come today. And then one stage says, well, he must have lied. So he didn't lie. There's a verse that says, I will come this very day if you're ready.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing it.
And this is why we say we were talking about in Tisha B'Av, how we say every year we have to say, this is the year that the temple's rebuilt, because it will be, if we're ready for it. Let's keep reading this. So let's keep reading this midrash a little bit, because let's. I just want to highlight one aspect in which this particular midrash, this story, I think, actually undermines the very rabbi who it was supposed to be supporting. It was brought in support of Rabbi Yudin, who said that the Mashiach's name is Menachem because of the verse Ki rachak mimeni Menachem, because far from me is the Comforter. But this story seems to be one about the Comforter the Mashiach is close at hand. It's there any minute. So the story actually seems to be, even if it agrees about what the Mashiach's name is, it sort of seems to be contradicting the message about where the Mashiach is. According to, if we learn the name of the Mashiach as Menachem from Eicha 116, then Mashiach is very far away at the moment of the destruction. But if we learn it from this story, then the Mashiach is very close at hand. So I don't know which which it is, but maybe it's both, right? When we're not ready, he's very far away, and when we're ready, he's very close at hand. You know what? Let's just learn the rest of this midrash, because it's such and then I think we'll be ready for Ma'ariv here. But let's. Who would someone like to take us through the rest of the midrash? So he's from Rabbi Abun at the bottom of page, that's labeled page 1, which is really the second page.
Sure.
Oh.
Okay. Abun said, why should I learn from this from some Arab when there is an explicit text where it is stated, and Lebanon shall fall by a mighty one, which is followed by, and there shall come forth a shoot,
Or a sprout.
out of the stock of Jesse, and the twig shall go forth out of the tree.
Okay, so Rabbi Abun says, I don't like your choice of name, and I don't like where you're learning it from. Why should I learn this from some passing Arab nobody's ever heard of? I have a verse from Tanakh, from the prophet Yeshayahu, who says that a sprout, a shoot, a tzemach is going to come from the stock of Jesse, the stock of Yishai. Okay, so we have tzemach, we have Menachem, and now we're going to get a series of. If some of us are wondering that, wow, Menachem, maybe the people who think that the last Chabad Rebbe was the Mashiach are really right. I mean, Menachem, right? Now we're going to get a whole series of theories about what the name of Mashiach is.
The school of Shila says the Messiah's name is Sheila, as it is stated, to Shiloh come, where the word is spelled the same as Sheila.
Okay, so the school of Rabbi Sheila thinks that the Mashiach's name is Sheila. They don't have any vested interest in this name.
The school of Rav Hanina said his name is Hanina, graciousness. It said, I will not give you graciousness. Well, that seems wrong. I will not give you graciousness.
This is Jeremiah, prophecy of destruction. Hashem's.
The school of Rav Yanai said his name is Yinon, for it is written, before the sun was, his name was Yinon.
Okay, so here we learn that on some level, every Jew thinks his Rebbe is the Mashiach, right? School of Rabbi Sheila thinks his Mashiach's name is Sheila. The school of Rabbi Hanina thinks the Mashiach's name is Hanina. The school of Rabbi Yanai thinks the Mashiach's name is Yinon, which is close enough. Again, I don't know how much this is a response to, this midrash is a response to Christianity. Like, you think you're the only ones who think your Rebbe was the Mashiach? Like, we got plenty of Jews who think the Rebbe was the Mashiach, and you're nothing special about yours. Or how much this is just a response to the reality of, that people do have this tendency to, when they have a really charismatic, brilliant, spiritually elevated leader, they think he must be Mashiach, and maybe he could have been in a different generation, but not in the world that we're living in up until now. Okay, we're running low on time, but I think, what do you think? Where do you think that this idea that this story brings in this idea that the Mashiach really is born on Tisha B'Av, right? The temple's destroyed, and immediately the the Mashiach, we get news that the Mashiach, or someone who could have been the Mashiach, is born. I think just to fast forward through the rest of this a little bit, I think that it's the idea that Mashiach is born on Tisha B'Av comes from the fact that exile and destruction are repeatedly in Torah portrayed as the means to teshuva. That's not so much there's an element of punishment, but that we read in Devarim chapter, which is the Torah reading for this morning, we read in verse 27, Hashem will scatter you among the peoples, and only a scant few of you shall be left among the nations to which the Hashem will drive you, and there you will serve man-made gods of wood and stone that cannot see or hear or eat or smell. But if you search there for the Lord your God, you will find him, if only you seek him with all your heart and soul. When you are in distress because of all these things that have befallen you, and in the end return to Hashem your God and obey him. So it seems that the distress of exile and all the things that happen to us is what moves us to do teshuvah and return to God. And I'm sorry that I'm fast forwarding through that bit so quickly, but I think that's also what gives rise to the idea that, as we see in the second to last source, Tanis 30b, whoever mourns for Jerusalem will rejoice with her. That will rejoice with her when she's rebuilt, I think comes from the same idea, that out of our, that it's the experience of mourning, exile, destruction that actually prepares us spiritually to come back to God. That when we are sitting fat and happy in our land, we're in much more spiritual peril than we're in exile. And exile can be an edifying experience if we are open to learning its lessons. So may we learn those lessons, may we do tshuva, and may this be the year that Mashiach comes and we rebuild and we return. All right, let's stop in Mariv.